Budgeting for fleet expenses has never been more difficult.
If you take a look at the industry just at a very high level, 10 million work vehicles in North America, and just consider the fuel problems. If you go back in 2008, the average price of fuel was $3.30 a gallon. Barrel cost $115, $116. And then somewhere or other, just after the fleet conference, like 6 weeks later, the price of petrol at the pump was $4.06 as the barrel of oil zoomed to 145. Then we come a year later to New Orleans, and the price of a barrel was $51, and it cost us $2.06 at the pump. Then we come here to Detroit, and we find out we're paying $2.86 for petrol at the pump, because the price of a barrel of oil is $86, I believe. And when you just think about the fuel budgets of 10 million vehicles at work, you're looking at either a $40 billion price tag just to move these vehicles around based on today's prices. Based on last year's price, it would have been $28 billion. And if you go back even one more year, it was $46 billion. So we have anywhere from $6 billion to $8 billion to $12 billion bouncing around out of control. And I don't know how businesses or organizations can plan their budgets every year knowing that they really can't predict the price of powering these fleets. So I think it's got to be a huge concern. If you had a budget that bounced around that much, another way to look at it is on 1,000 units, I've computed it on 1,000 units, a person has to figure out what are the budget for the next 12 months, $2.8 million for fuel to $4.6 million for fuel. That's a 64% swing guess that they're responsible for making, and I'll bet most of the time they're going to make it wrong. And someone's going to understand why the budget looks so terrible this year. So I think when you think of just that one category alone, you have to say that fleet is becoming a very puzzling area for managing a business or a non-business organization that uses transportation equipment. If you take, in addition to that, and you think about the budget deficit bubble bursting at the federal level, you know, the financial costs are going to skyrocket eventually. And so these same fleet leaders have to figure out, A, what their finance costs are going to rise to, when it's going to rise, and by how much it's going to rise in a very volatile market. And then you take the auto market, which has been very volatile for the last couple of years. They have to figure out how to peg depreciation schedules. And they have to do that in reliance on very volatile markets. And I think the fact that we have very little visibility looking forward, it creates huge, daunting challenges for fleet managers and fleet executive leaders to understand how to possibly normalize their expenses in the fleet and transportation area. And I think this has got to be driving senior directors, senior executives crazy.